four cardinal points of a compass are north, east, south, and west. There are 12 intermediate points. But for greater accuracy, the circle is divided into 360 degrees, 0 and 360 degrees being the north point, east 90 degrees, south 180 degrees, and west 270 degrees.
Okay now?
He'll have to go and get help.
We're in the middle of nowhere.
I haven't got a clue where we are.
Look, I'll get to Snowdon Ranger Station. They'll send help.
This was supposed to be fun.
Why don't you shut up, Frank?
To take a bearing using a prismatic compass, look through the prism slot and line up the prism slot and the hairline in the lid with the object to which the bearing is taken. The purpose of taking bearings is to give an accurate indication of direction from one point to another.
Frank, don't you move till I get back.
Fox 3 to base, over.
Receiving you, Tony, over.
I've checked out those lakeside cabins, Fred. They should be accessible for at least another month or so.
Over.
Roger, Tony. Come back and have a beer, mate. I'm plotting our walk up to the mountain cabin for next week. Over.
I'll take you up on that, over.
Safe out.
To plot a bearing on a map, position the protractor so that the point of the hole is directly over your starting position and the north line is pointing to the map's grid north. Having drawn a pencil line between your starting position and your goal, read off the bearing from the edge of the protractor.
I just had a thought. I reckon we ought to check out the weather forecast before we go out to the... Wait out, Fred. I'll be back to you. Wait out.
Thank God you've come along. There's been an accident. It's my husband. I think he's broken his leg.
All right, now, settle down. Now, where is he?
About 4 miles back, between Wombat Hill and Paddy's Peak.
It's a hell of a big valley.
I've left someone with him. Here. And the compass bearings.
All right, Tony. That ground is too steep to carry him out. I'd say it's definitely a helicopter job. We'll get on to search and rescue and give him his position. Over.
Roger, base. Look, can you send Jeff Lee up so we can go to his aid just in case there is some problem with the chopper? Over.
Okay, base out. Fire tower, 330 degrees. Paddy's Peak, 48 degrees. Wombat Hill, 94 degrees.
Compass bearings taken from landmarks in the field are known as magnetic bearings. They must be converted to grid bearings for plotting on a map. If we used the magnetic bearings taken from the injured walker's position as a guide, they would not coincide with the representations of the landmarks on the map. The position of the magnetic pole is not constant. Its annual variation is noted in the marginal information on maps. In this example, to convert the magnetic bearings, we add the magnetic variation. So our grid bearings are 342 degrees, 60 degrees, and 106 degrees. To plot the exact position of the injured man, the bearings taken have to be converted to back bearings. That is, the bearings from the two mountains and the fire tower back to the point of observation.
Peter, will you work out the back bearings on those while I get on the search and rescue?
The back bearing from Wombat Hill will be 106 degrees plus or minus 180 degrees, equaling 286 degrees. The injured man's position is somewhere along that line. The back bearing from Paddy's Peak is then converted in the same way, 240 degrees. The injured man's position is somewhere along that line. The bearing to the fire tower was 342 degrees. The back bearing will be 162 degrees. The injured man's position is at the intersection of these three lines. In most cases, when fixing a position, a triangle will be formed by the intersecting lines. This triangle is referred to as the triangle of error and occurs because specific points are not always available for shooting bearings. When this triangle occurs, the position required is taken to be the center of the triangle.
Yes, I have its position marked as grid reference 115468. When can you get the chopper to him? Over.
Well, they're having mechanical difficulties at the moment. It'll be at least 2 hours before we can get airborne. By then, we'll be running out of light. Can you get him out overland? Over.
No, the terrain's too rough. We've got 2 rangers going to him at the moment. They'll give him first aid till you arrive. Now, can you do it at first light tomorrow or not? Over.
Well, you were lucky to find your way out of there. It's pretty rough country.
Well, to tell you the truth, I knew there was a road to the south, so I just headed south.
Well, that's Wombat Hill over there. There's Paddy's Peak. So if we fix our position, we can find the best way to find your husband.
To obtain the grid bearing from a map using a silver compass, place the long edge of the compass along the desired line, making sure that the arrow on the compass plate points in the direction you wish to travel. Turn the compass housing so that the meridian lines are parallel with the grid lines on the map. Read the grid bearing on the housing where the index line intersects it. Then, to determine the magnetic bearing, first refer to the magnetic variation symbol on the map. On this map, the magnetic variation is 12.39 degrees. The magnetic variation is taken to the nearest degree and subtracted from the grid bearing. You can then determine your magnetic bearing for use in the field.
So we draw a line between our position and his, and that's the direction we head in. 350 degrees.
Downhill?
No, uphill. We'd lose sight of the mountains down there. We're going to have to be pretty spot on to find your husband. I've just taken a bearing on that hill over there. What we do is to continue on the same line and find a prominent object on that bearing line.
What's the holdup?
Well, the bush is pretty thick here, sir. Jeff's moving ahead about 100 meters at a time, and I line him up on the bearing line. And then we move to his position. We go on doing that until the ground's clearer.
Now what?
We go around it.
Traveling around an obstacle is best done by making a series of right angles. In our example, the ranger holds the compass so that it maintains its setting. He sights along the back edge of the compass plate and then paces out the distance required to pass the swamp. For his next turn, he holds the compass in the normal way and walks far enough forward to clear the swamp. He then paces the same number of paces as he made on the first turn. When he's back on course, he uses his original bearing.
We're not going to make it before dark, are we?
We'll be okay.
We're about 1 kilometre as the crow flies. When we get to the valley, it's fairly even, flat land. I reckon we should push on. Do you know how to set your compass for night movement? I think it's very simple. Here, give me your compass. Now, look. We're marching on a course of 350 degrees to your husband, okay?
Yeah.
So what you do is turn the dial on the top of your compass so that the bearing coincides with the lever line, okay?
Yeah.
And you clamp it into position. There you go. No, the other hand. That watch could draw the needle slightly off true course. Now, the tongue is pointing in the right direction when the luminous north point on the card coincides with this luminous strip on the glass, okay?
They're here, John. They're here. I'm right glad to see you. Thanks.